Hello and welcome to WFMT's Performer Introduction Series, where we're going behind the scenes of performers before they hit some of Chicago's biggest stages this summer. I'm Adela Skowroński, the 2021 WFMT Patner Fellow, and today we are with Grammy Award-winning Japanese-Norwegian violist Masumi Rostad, the featured soloist performing Margaret Bauer's Viola Concerto this Friday and Saturday at the Grant Park Music Festival. In addition to being a performer, Masumi is a well-known teacher, writer, and classical music advocate. Masumi, thank you for taking the time to chat with us today. How are you feeling leading up to Friday's concert? Is this the first major concert you've done since the pandemic began?
Yeah, it is. And it's really exciting to be back on stage with a real live audience, to be performing again. I've really missed it. I've missed both performing and being an audience member as well. It's just wonderful to be able to have this shared experience.
Now, one doesn't often think of the viola as a soloist instrument, at least not in the typical orchestral canon. I think when you talk to some people, they have some misinterpretations of what the viola is or what it sounds like.
The viola is a kind of an interesting instrument. It's actually, I think, the kind of original instrument of the violin family. And then we built out from there. So it's kind of the central instrument because it's the middle voice. It sits in between the violin, the higher violin, and the lower cello. We still hold it, of course, up on the shoulder and with the chin and neck, but it has a lower voice. It's more like the teenager of the family. The thing that's particularly interesting about the viola is that the size is not standardized, and that really has a great effect on the sound. What is a viola? A viola is the instrument that I love and that I've devoted my life to playing.
It's really great to see, wonderful advocates for viola like yourself. You're very passionate about, speaking about the viola. So I think it's something that if someone hasn't listened to a viola in a soloistic context before, they'll be very, very intrigued, and I think will love the sound of it in this concerto. We'll circle back to the performance coming up on Friday and Saturday in just a little bit, but aside from performing, your resume includes being an outspoken advocate of classical music. You mentioned breaking down classical music barriers in your website biography, and I was wondering, could you talk a little bit more about those barriers and how you, in particular, approach making classical music perhaps more relatable to general audiences?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a very kind of complex topic. I come from a firm belief that all it takes is to get people into the room or out on the lawn, I guess in this case. I used to live in Champaign, Illinois for about 9 years when I taught at the University of Illinois, and I started a festival there based on this premise of the power of the engagement. And it was an incredible experience where we experimented with different ways of presenting classical music. I've experimented with other things like podcasts. I had a podcast for a while that was hosted by WGBH, and then I've been experimenting with a YouTube channel. So I've been making videos. I made a video about Beethoven's 60 bean coffee. Beethoven was obsessive about having 60 beans exactly in his coffee. So I wanted to make it. So I made it, and here I am drinking Starbucks for the day. But no, it's not quite the same experience. But no, I made my own coffee beans. I roasted them and made the coffee, and perhaps I got a little bit closer to Beethoven. I've been playing since I was 4 years old. So people threw music in front of me. It would be a Mozart score or a Beethoven score, and there was to some degree, especially as a child, a kind of a barrier. And I think through my life in performing and studying this music, I've gotten to know these composers as people. I really do feel like when I'm on stage, if I'm playing Mozart is there with me. And in this case, Margaret Bauer will be there with me.
You are going to be playing the Margaret Bauer Viola Concerto Friday and Saturday at the Grant Park Music Festival. What are some moments in the piece, any key moments that you think audiences should be listening for? Anything that's exciting to you about the piece?
One of the things that I really love about this piece is just how well it sits on the viola. It just sings so beautifully on the instrument. It's so idiomatically nicely written. She was a violinist originally in her career, and she focused more and more on composition. But I think as a violinist, she understands, how four strings and four fingers work, and between string crossings and kind of the vocal range of the instrument. And I love the arc of the story. I mean, there's a kind of trajectory as the violist begins the piece, really just angry, I guess, and frustrated, and engages in this immediate kind of stilted dialogue with the orchestra, and eventually just sort of settles into a kind of a balance, and finally I think it ends with a party.
What a great way to end a piece. Fantastic. Thank you again. This has been Viola's Masumi Rostad, who will be performing at the Grant Park Music Festival on Friday, July 16th and Saturday, July 17th. I'm wishing you the best of luck on your performance this Saturday and Friday.